They thought it was just a quiet blue marble spinning alone in the dark. But Earth wasn't quiet, it was patient. The Acron Dominion had expanded into over 1,000 star systems without ever firing a shot in anger. Brute force wasn't their style. Subtle coercion, soft power, and intelligence-driven conquest. That was the Acron way. And when their long-range observation ships identified the Sol system, they didn't see a threat. They saw opportunity. Earth sat alone, cradled in a delicate orbit around a G-class star. No visible planetary shields. No orbital defense platforms. No deep space patrol fleets or subspace network traffic. Primitive electromagnetic emissions, mostly outdated radio and visual bands. Surface life was disorganized, fragmented into nation-states. Internal conflicts, outdated fossil fuels, and still no evidence of faster-than-light travel. The consensus in the Acron High Chamber was unanimous. This world was undefended. Commander Threx of the Dominion's Third Expansion Fleet stood in silence, observing the rotating image of Earth projected in the bridge sphere. Blue oceans, white clouds, green continents. Beautiful. Peaceful. Weak. Has infiltration begun? He asked. Yes, Commander, replied Agent Kelm. 4 survey teams inserted via orbital drops. No resistance. Local populations responded with amusement. Amusement. They believe our operatives are participating in some kind of costumed entertainment ritual. Cosplay, they call it. Threx narrowed his eyes. They think we're joking? Yes, sir. One agent was asked for an autograph. Another was gifted a local sugar-based beverage called Mountain Dew. No suspicion raised. Threx turned away from the hologram, processing the report. So they truly have no idea what's coming. None, sir. They're oblivious. Civilian tech is primitive. They use combustion engines, projectile weapons, and something called the Internet to argue with each other in public forums. A long pause. Excellent, Threx said. Proceed with Operation Soft Iron. Full orbital presence by this cycle's end. Prepare for simultaneous surface landings on population centers. Begin resource tagging. This world will kneel before it even realizes it's under occupation. He gestured to the glowing planet below. A perfect acquisition. The sky above Earth changed subtly, almost artistically. First came the streaks, harmless, silent lines across the heavens. Meteor showers, the media claimed. Then the shimmer, as Acron ships phased out of cloaking grids. Triangular silhouettes hovered across cities, from Moscow to Mumbai, silently asserting dominance. No warning shots. No thunder. No demands. And still, Earth did nothing. In New York, the Acron Vanguard touched down in Central Park, surrounded by trees and joggers and curious tourists with camera drones. Commander Thrask, leading the first urban deployment, expected fear. He was met with applause. Whoa, check the suits. This a promo for a Marvel movie. A child tugged on an Acron's cloak. Mr. Alien, are you here to fight the Avengers? Thrask blinked, his helmet HUD scrolling through translation subroutines. Stand aside, he said at last. This territory is under Dominion occupation. A nearby vendor clapped. This is amazing. I haven't seen a flash mob this committed since the naked cowboy in Times Square. The Acron were not prepared for this level of indifference. Over the next 12 hours, similar landings occurred across Earth's major cities. Not a single military was deployed. No missiles fired. A few Air Force's scramble jets, but they only observed and didn't engage. Civilians shared videos across their networks. Memes exploded. Hashtags like #WelcomeAliens and #TakeMeToYourDealer trended worldwide. Threx received the first compiled report with an expression of grim confusion. They're not resisting, he murmured. They're celebrating. Agent Kelm's voice was calm. We believe they think this is a joke, sir. Some believe it's a marketing campaign. Others think it's an augmented reality experience. Or perhaps, Threx said slowly, they're hiding something. He stood, eyes scanning the data feed. There were no satellites of military grade in orbit. No planetary shields. No signs of unified defense coordination. And yet, His instincts, sharpened by decades of expansion campaigns, began to prickle. Something was wrong. Above the Pacific Ocean, one Akron scout ship lost contact during a routine stratospheric scan. No alarms, no explosions, just gone. A single moment it was there, the next nothing. Threx ordered a full-spectrum analysis. It returned blank. No debris, no energy residue. It hadn't been destroyed. It had disappeared. Hours later, another scout, this time over Antarctica, flickered off the Dominion grid. Again, no warning, no attack signature. Just silence. Threx stared at the globe in the command sphere. Send a probe to the southern continent, he ordered. There's something buried there. Something that's watching. He paused. And it's not laughing. The silence was deafening. But the Akron didn't know that Earth's stillness wasn't weakness. It was a warning. The Akron scout ships had come to Earth in the thousands, each a towering marvel of technological superiority. Yet there was an unsettling stillness about their arrival. It was as if the planet itself was holding its breath, waiting for something. But what? The Dominion had underestimated the gravity of the moment. Commander Threx stood on the bridge of his flagship, gazing out at the sprawling planet below. There was no war, no chaos, no resistance. Just a strange calm. The locals had smiled, recorded videos, and shared jokes. Yet beneath it all, something sinister was stirring. The Dominion's intelligence had missed something. This was no ordinary world, no helpless species. This was a warning. The first report of the disappearing ships came hours after the initial landings. Threx had written it off as a glitch. After all, with the Akron's superior technology, no one expected Earth to pose a real threat. But after two ships vanished into thin air, it was clear that something was wrong. Very wrong. The probe launched toward Antarctica was supposed to offer some clarity. Earth's southernmost continent was isolated, difficult to monitor. A perfect place to hide secrets. But as the drone descended, something strange happened. A distortion appeared on the edge of its feed, a brief flicker of interference. The probe sensors went haywire, and it lost contact. "We're losing signal, Commander," a technician reported, her voice tight with apprehension. "Something's interfering with the transmission." Threx's brow furrowed. What kind of interference? The technician's fingers flew over the console. "It's not natural. The system isn't designed to behave this way. Something on the planet is generating a force field, blocking the signal." "What exactly are we dealing with?" Threx asked, his voice low. "Sir, I don't know," the technician answered, her eyes wide with fear. "But whatever it is, it's not from any known technology. This isn't just Earth. It's alive." Threx's mind raced. Alive? How could something as primitive as Earth's technology house an intelligence of this magnitude? He ordered a second probe, but the results were no better. Each attempt to reach deeper into Earth's secrets ended in failure. The planet was hiding something, but the Dominion wasn't equipped to understand what. Back on the surface, the Akron's presence was becoming more pronounced. Cities that had once been busy with people were now eerily quiet. The few civilians who dared approach the Akron were met with strange, unfathomable looks. They saw the towering figures, their sleek armor, but their smiles, their laughs, everything was an anomaly. The interaction felt wrong, like a cultural misunderstanding too vast to overcome. The silence continued. Threx stood at the helm of his flagship, feeling the weight of the mystery pressing in on him. He stared at Earth, now bathed in the soft light of its distant star. The planet appeared so ordinary, yet there was something lurking just beneath the surface. A hidden power that the Dominion had failed to detect. Something that watched, waited, and manipulated the very fabric of space itself. He turned to Agent Keln, who had been watching the unfolding situation closely. "Prepare a team to investigate the southern continent personally," Threx ordered. "I want boots on the ground, immediately." Keln hesitated, but only for a moment. "Understood, Commander." As Keln made his way to assemble the team, Threx couldn't shake the feeling that this mission would be different. The usual strategies would not work here. The Akron weren't just facing a defenseless world. They were confronting a hidden power that could turn everything they knew upside down. Within hours, the team was ready to depart. They boarded a sleek dropship, a force of 5 elite soldiers, with weapons designed to neutralize any conventional threat. As the ship ascended, Threx watched with growing unease. The military precision of the Dominion's operations was flawless, but it felt like something had shifted. They weren't the hunters anymore, they were the prey. The team touched down in the icy expanse of Antarctica, the wind howling through the open valleys. As they disembarked, the feeling of being watched grew stronger, more palpable with each passing second. The soldiers moved cautiously, scanning every direction. They knew Earth's environment could be harsh, but the tension was different this time. Kelm led them into the heart of the frozen land, a barren landscape stretching endlessly. Yet, the deeper they ventured, the more they felt the strange hum in the air. The planet was vibrating. Or maybe it was something beneath the ice, something that resonated with the very core of their beings. And then they found it, a massive structure buried beneath the ice. It was ancient, older than anything they'd seen, older even than the Akron themselves. It pulsed with energy, as though alive, breathing. The soldiers approached cautiously, weapons raised, but their movements faltered. The structure was emitting a faint hum, almost like a song, vibrating through the air, the ground beneath their feet, even the fabric of their armor. "This is beyond anything we've encountered," Kel muttered, his voice tight. He motioned for the team to halt. "This isn't just technology. This is a relic." The realization hit Threx like a cold wave. The Earth wasn't just hiding something. It was guarding it. The power that had remained dormant for millennia was awakening. And it wasn't just watching Earth. It was watching them. The ice didn't crack from pressure. It parted, like something had been waiting for them all along. The structure beneath Antarctica wasn't just alien. It was impossible. A temple, a vault, a prison, no one could tell. It defied scanning, ignored gravitational laws, and pulsed with a rhythm that synced to no known energy spectrum. It was as if the planet itself was shielding it. Kelm's boots crunched on the brittle frost, his hand gripping the plasma rifle tighter than protocol required. Even the hardened soldiers around him weren't immune to the tension. "Readings?" he asked, voice clipped. "Still nothing. It's like the ice is jamming us or something inside it," replied the squad technician. The team stood at the precipice of an opening that hadn't been there moments ago. No tool carved it. No weapon blasted it. The ice simply receded, forming a smooth arch down into the earth. "This is not natural," one soldier muttered. "No," Kelm replied. "It's not." They descended in silence, flashlights cutting across ancient walls laced with veins of glowing blue light. The markings weren't Akron. They weren't human either. Symbols shimmered and shifted if stared at too long, like the walls were translating themselves, thinking. Kelm kept moving, pulse steady, mind sharp. He knew they were beyond their depth. This wasn't a weapon facility or a forgotten alien base. This was a warning sign carved into the bones of the planet. As they entered the main chamber, everything changed. The air thickened, denser, electric. The room was massive, spherical, and in its center floated a suspended core of molten light. It was held by nothing, spinning slowly, humming low and deep. The moment they stepped closer, it reacted. The hum rose, a second tone joined in, and the walls came to life. Holograms erupted, images of vast interstellar battles, entire fleets consumed by tendrils of dark energy, civilizations screaming into the void before being snuffed out. The projection settled on Earth. But it wasn't the present, it was eons ago. And humanity wasn't there. "What are we seeing?" someone whispered. Kelm couldn't answer. His eyes were locked on a single projection, tall, cloaked figures in armor not dissimilar to the Akron's own, standing in a circle around the core. One of them touched it, and the light vanished. The planet was sealed. The final image was a phrase, burned in every language at once. "Do not awaken what sleeps beneath." "Commander, are you seeing this?" Kelm transmitted to orbit. Only static replied. A ripple of dread passed through him. Their comms were jammed, hard. Not by Earth's atmosphere or solar interference. By this thing. This vault was more than a tomb. It was containment. Suddenly, a low rumble passed through the ice. Not from above, but below. The core flared. The chamber's symbols glowed red. Kelm raised his weapon. Form up. Defensive posture. The walls began to vibrate, the air shimmered, and a sound like a chorus of whispers echoed all around them. Layered, ancient, incomprehensible. A scream behind him made him spin. One of his soldiers collapsed, eyes wide, veins glowing faint blue. Pull back. Kelm shouted. But the exit was already gone. Above the ice, Commander Threx received the last fragment of a message. Static. Then a single word. Awakened. He turned to his bridge officers. Get me every Dominion ship in this sector. Now. But deep beneath the ice, Earth had already decided. It had waited long enough. They thought Earth was just a planet, until it responded like a wounded beast remembering war. Threx watched helplessly as the connection to Kelm's team died. Not a gradual loss, an instant cut, like the signal had been severed. One moment he had eyes on the operation. The next, nothing but silence. The same kind of silence that had swallowed 5 other scout teams since landing. The silence that was now screaming. His fleet, orbiting in perfect formation above Earth, had begun to experience anomalies. Power fluctuations. Sensor blindness. Weapons temporarily unresponsive. None of it made tactical sense. Earth didn't possess this kind of planetary defense grid. There were no satellites launching attacks. No spacefaring countermeasures. And yet, one by one, systems were faltering. Not destroyed, just disarmed, like the planet was toying with them. Then came the first visual. A vessel on the outer rim of the formation, the Tarsvek, recorded something impossible. A ripple in space, like gravity folding inward. No heat, no sound. Just light bending unnaturally. And then the ship was gone. No explosion. No debris. Just erased. Where's the wreckage? Threx barked. There is none, Commander, the analyst answered. There's nothing. As if it never existed. The room fell silent. Get us to high orbit, Threx ordered. We're pulling back. Earth is not what we thought it was. But the ship didn't respond. Not the helm. Not navigation. Not even life support controls. We've lost command systems, the pilot shouted. They're operational, but unresponsive. Override them, Threx snapped. I've tried. We're locked out from our own systems. Something on the planet was now in control of their fleet. Threx turned slowly toward the viewports. Earth rotated calmly below them, unchanged, unmoved. But he could feel it now, deep in his chest, as if the planet itself had become aware of their presence. And it was watching. On the surface, far from Antarctica, strange phenomena began appearing across Earth's most remote regions. Deserts, ocean trenches, mountain ranges. Energy pulses. Gravitational waves. Structures that hadn't existed hours ago rising from the ground like memories buried too long. The Dominion surveillance drones tried to capture it, but the footage dissolved into white noise every time. The humans, curiously, weren't panicking. In fact, many of them were retreating from cities to secluded zones, silent and prepared, almost as if they'd expected this. A Dominion scout ship, still functional, intercepted a human broadcast signal emanating from a hidden relay near the Amazon basin. It wasn't encrypted. It was meant to be heard. To those watching from above, leave. This is not your battleground. Threx heard it play in his command chamber. A warning. No bluster. No threat. Just a statement of fact. And then another ship disappeared. This time in orbit. Right next to them. The Fokesh vanished from their formation in a flash of distorted spacetime. No one had seen the weapon. No heat spike. No discharge. Just absence. Something ancient was stirring. Not from the surface, but from beneath it. Earth wasn't merely resisting, it was remembering. What Kelm's team found under Antarctica wasn't a vault. It was a key. A trigger. One the Dominion had unknowingly activated. They hadn't invaded a planet. They had disturbed a cage. And the thing inside wasn't just defending Earth. It was Earth. Suddenly, the bridge lights dimmed. Not from a loss of power, from something overriding the lighting systems manually. One by one, monitors began displaying a pattern. A symbol none of the Akron recognized. Yet it filled every screen. Bold, singular, inevitable. "What is that?" one officer whispered. Threx stared, his blood cold. "That's not a language. That's a countdown." "How long?" 13 minutes. The room fell into chaos. Officers scrambling to restore control, to transmit warnings, to escape. But escape wasn't an option anymore. From orbit, they finally saw it. Hidden beneath the Pacific, a massive structure began to rise. Kilometers wide, perfectly circular. As it broke the ocean surface, the water parted in geometric ripples instead of waves. It wasn't a base. It wasn't a ship. It was a sentience. The Akron had arrived thinking Earth was unguarded. They were wrong. Earth wasn't defenseless. It was waiting. The Dominion's fleet had conquered empires, but it had never faced a planet that hunted back. The countdown ended not with an explosion, but with silence. A complete, unnatural stillness across all Dominion frequencies. Then, one by one, the ships began losing integrity, internal systems failing in synchronized waves, as though a code had infiltrated every core processor. Threx stood at the center of his bridge, staring at the rising structure in the Pacific. It hovered now, defying gravity, a monolithic ring of obsidian and light. Beneath it, the ocean had stilled. Tides no longer moved. Weather patterns froze mid-cycle. Earth's atmosphere was no longer behaving naturally. "We're no longer observing a planet," his science officer muttered. "This is coordinated." Then came the sound. Not audible, not through speakers. It hit them all at once, inside their minds. A pulse. A rhythm. Like ancient drums echoing through stone. Each beat brought pressure behind their eyes. It wasn't meant to communicate. It was a presence asserting itself. Every ship still in formation had been cut from the Dominion's network. Not destroyed, isolated. Their once mighty fleet had become a scattering of blind, deaf vessels adrift in orbit, tethered only by fear. And then Earth spoke. Not through language, through action. Beams of inverted light, not emitted but drawn inward, pierced the vacuum between Earth and its invaders. Where they touched hulls, matter unraveled. Ships didn't explode. They disassembled atom by atom, turned into ribbons of nothingness. Threx watched as 3 warships vanished in silent precision. No resistance. No warning. Just removal. "This isn't retaliation," the lieutenant whispered. "It's surgical." Below, in Antarctica, Keln's surviving team had found shelter inside the vault. Barely. The structure had sealed itself again, blocking whatever force was sweeping the planet. Inside, time felt slower. Gravity was wrong. The air didn't deplete, but it didn't replenish either. "I think we triggered an intelligence," Keln said, speaking to no one in particular. "Something that's not just defending Earth. It is Earth." The walls pulsed again, showing new holograms. This time, not history, strategy. Fleets. Battle formations. Weapons from species long extinct. And at the center of each map, Earth. Not as a target, as a constant. This planet hadn't been claimed by humanity. It had allowed them. And now it was waking. Back in orbit, Threx had made his choice. "Send the signal to retreat," he ordered. "To any ship that still listens. We're leaving. Now." The officers hesitated. "We don't run from primitives," one said. Threx turned to him. "Then stay and die. Earth is not primitive. We are." Escape was chaos. The remaining ships tried to flee Earth's gravity well. Some made it. Others didn't. One ship was caught mid-jump, its warp path folding back on itself like twisted paper. It blinked in and out of existence before vanishing completely. Threx's command ship barely cleared atmosphere before its engine sputtered. Not from damage, from resistance. Like Earth itself was pulling them back down, refusing to let them leave without consequences. "We need more power." "It's not about power," the engineer shouted. "It's will." Something doesn't want us to leave. But finally, miraculously, they broke free. Only a fraction of the fleet remained. And even as they limped away from Earth, systems still struggled. Coordinates scrambled. Navigational AI corrupted. Threx stared at the shrinking blue orb in the viewport. "We came to conquer," he said. "We just woke up something older than war." Silence followed him. No one argued. Earth had defended itself without a single soldier. And every surviving Dominion captain left with the same message, burned into their minds without permission. Do not return. This world is not yours. You were warned. The universe expected Earth to plead for peace. What came instead was a reckoning. Weeks had passed since the Dominion's fractured fleet limped away from Earth's gravity well, wounded and silent. In the galactic core, empires stirred with unease. For centuries, Earth had been a curiosity, an overlooked backwater. Now, it was a threat too grave to ignore, and no one could explain why. Whispers spread. Entire systems went dark after probing the Soul Sector. Automated scouts lost time. AI networks corrupted by data fragments that translated only into a phrase, "Do not wake it again." Threx stood before the High Dominion Council, scarred and weary. He'd returned without glory, without answers. Only warnings. "You ran," one elder spat. "You speak of ghosts and a planet with will? Where are your facts?" Threx didn't flinch. "Facts? You want telemetry? Debris? There's nothing to give you, because Earth erased everything. Ships, signals, evidence, as if it fed on it." "Hyperbole," another sneered. Threx leaned forward. "We came as conquerors. Earth never retaliated. It simply removed us. That's not defense. That's curation." A hush fell. Far away, the humans remained quiet. No threats. No diplomacy. No vengeance. But they were building. Satellites bloomed from orbit like iron flowers. Strange new materials appeared, impossible alloys, blacker than vacuum, absorbing even gravitational scans. Earth's surface was changing subtly, geometrically. Someone or something was preparing. The humans had not released any statements. But then came a message. A tight beam transmission aimed at the Central Galactic Archives, visible to every major civilization. It was a recording, grainy at first, then sharp. A lone human in a stark black uniform stood before a planetary hologram. She spoke calmly. "You arrived assuming we were weak. You mistook our silence for ignorance. You mistook our planet for a prize." Her eyes narrowed. "We didn't resist with soldiers because we didn't need to. The entity beneath our soil remembers when your kind were still crawling out of gas giants. It chose to sleep. We chose to let it." She stepped aside. The hologram shifted, showing ancient galactic maps, with Earth marked not as a backwater, but as a containment site. A vault. A prison. For millennia, Earth held something in place. Something that once silenced entire quadrants. We lived above it, learned from it, survived with it. The woman's voice dropped. "When you broke the ice and entered the vault, you didn't find a weapon. You found a warning label. You ignored it. The last image shown was the same symbol that had infected Dominion systems, a ring of black flame around a sphere. It wasn't human. It predated language. It meant only one thing: do not approach." The message ended. Across the stars, reactions varied. Some species went into hiding. Others prepared fleets. A few simply erased Earth from all navigation maps, pretending it didn't exist. But deep in the Dominion's war archives, Threx accessed a forbidden document, an ancient warning from the first species to map the Milky Way. It spoke of a planet that punishes memory, where time forgets intruders and gravity fold at will. That planet had been marked extinct. Until now. Threx closed the archive. The Council demanded Earth's submission. But Threx knew better. "No one threatens Earth," he said aloud, to no one in particular. "Because Earth doesn't threaten back. It ends you.